would ask for help with our son. He claimed he had to go to work, which is valid, but even on his off days, he would take extra jobs. I was pretty much taking care of our son most of the time by myself, feeding, cleaning, and also doing other household things because I didn't have a job, and I still don't have a job, being that I have no way to pay for childcare, and I asked for help, and that wasn't available to him. He said he couldn't afford it, but yet he's been able to afford vacations this year. He's
Objection, narrative.
That's sustained.
He came unannounced. Well, he texted, but he was here unannounced. And I had to call the police because we were not on good terms.
Objection, narrative.
Sustained.
Now, do you have any objection to him visiting with Jace?
No, the problem was I don't feel safe in his presence.
Okay. Do you have any problem with him taking Jace with him and visiting him at his home?
Yes.
And what is your reason for not wanting him to visit with him in his own home?
Well, he doesn't live by himself anymore. He's in a completely new relationship, and I don't know who that person is.
Since you don't know, or do you have any specific reasons to know whether or not she would have caused any harm to Jace?
I just don't know that person, and also he's a police officer, and he's like to leave guns and weapons around. I'm asking for back child support because he's only given me $850 between the time of November and April.
But y'all did live together again from January, February, and March for those 3 months from January to March?
Yes.
Okay.
During that time, is it a fact that Mr. Cost paid the rent for the residents?
Yes.
You didn't contribute to the household at all, did you?
I paid for groceries and everything else that needed to be done for our son.
But Mr. Cost paid the rent, right?
Yes, he paid for rent.
Isn't it also true? Is it also true that he paid for your insurance, car insurance?
Yes.
And there were direct payments of maybe upwards of $1,200 or more dollars.
I don't know how much money. I don't have that information.
But
That
there were direct payments made to you, correct?
direct payments towards the apartment.
No, to you, where he would
No.
Zelle you. He never Zelled you any money? Sent you money by Zelle?
He Zelled me some money, but it wasn't $1,200. I don't know what you're talking about $1,200 for.
Okay, so he paid your car note, I'm sorry, your insurance, he paid the rent where you were living, and he made some direct payments through Zelle to you in some amount, right?
Yeah, a couple dollars here and there.
Okay, and weren't there numerous instances where he asked you to be able to contribute to the child's well-being, and you denied him that opportunity, correct?
No, that's not correct. He never asked me to contribute to my son's well-being when I was paying for everything that he needed. My entire family has supported him since he was born. His family has not.
He never offered to pay to buy diapers and
No.
texted you about
No.
asking you what your son needed?
No, because my family supplied all those diapers and wipes when he was born. So we were good for at least those 3 months.
Now, you testified earlier that Mr. Cost you felt unsafe with him being around your son. Now, during the time, the 2 different times you lived with him, wasn't he a caretaker or caregiver also?
He barely watched him. There was days that I didn't even sleep. That I was taking care of my son.
Did you ever leave Mr. Cost alone with you guys' son?
Yes, several times he would, when he's the baby is like 2-3 months, he can't really move. So if I needed to take a shower, he would play the video game while the baby's in a rocker.
So you never left Mr. Cost at home with Jace?
Not
You
Not
wouldn't
for
go
a
to the
day,
grocery store or
not for a
shopping,
day, not for a whole day.
but for several hours though, right?
For a couple hours, yes.
On numerous occasions, correct?
Yes.
So why is it that you feel unsafe that with Mr. Cost being around your son, not wanting him to take Jace away when you left him alone with him with the same circumstances?
The start of me feeling unsafe was when I moved back in with him back in January. I started to feel him being manipulative, him asking me to sign a contract that would say he would pay me $500 a month instead of doing child support. Also, him threatening me for 3 days to kick me out instead of trying to work something out as adults so we both could financially take care of our son on good terms instead of this whole situation that is now occurring now.
Do you think it's
And
important for a child to have interaction with both parents?
it's very important, but
Isn't it?
he also wasn't thinking about that once he kicked us out.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Now you kept your Jace away from his father for months at a time. Isn't that correct?
Only like 2 months at the most.
2 months. How would you feel if you were deprived of seeing your son for 2 months?
I would not feel great.
You wouldn't like that, would you?
No,
Isn't the fact that you were so uncooperative that Mr. Cost had to seek assistance from the police to see his son? Isn't that correct?
that was the time he came.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Is that correct?
Yes, he came unannounced.
On how many times, on how many occasions did he have to seek assistance from the police?
Once.
Now, did you allow him to see his son at that point?
No, because he came unannounced.
He did not attempt to text you on numerous occasions.
That morning, he did not call or text, so he came unannounced to a property that he's not allowed on.
He didn't know, you didn't know he was coming.
No, I did not know.
Isn't the bottom line that you're angry that you guys are no longer together, and that's why you keeping his son away from him?
No, I am feeling unsafe around him because he's manipulative.
Okay, pass this witness, Judge.
You're a witness, Miss Overstreet.
Who do you currently work for?
Houston Police Department.
And your attorney had sent over some paycheck stubs.
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to ask the court to enter into evidence the paycheck stubs.
No objection.
Yes, it does. It says pay statement.
Is this the document you're asking me to review?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Castine, the state is asking me to look at the wage information that's been provided by Mr. Cost. Is it okay if I look at this information?
Yes.
State's Exhibit A? B. State's Exhibit B is admitted into evidence.
Your Honor, and the very last paycheck on there shows his year to date. And if there's no objection, I have actually looked at all this and calculated. And if there's no objection, I'd just like to do a summary of the evidence of what it says.
No objection.
Does Ms. Chastain, do you have any objection?
It's no.
She's calculated the child support, Ms. Castine, based on some information from the wage information that Mr. Cost has provided. Ms. Overstreet is asking if it's okay if she summarizes those calculations to me.
No objection.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Overstreet.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, his year-to-date gross was $31,970.07 as of May 22nd of this year. His monthly average is $6,394.01. The cost of insurance for the child is $227.70. The cost, oh shoot, it just shut down on me. The cost of dental added into that is a total cost for insurance and dental is $251.28. His union dues a month are approximately $70.89. His net resources after taxes withheld of $1293.15 is $6,394.04. So the calculated guideline amount of child support was $955.74 a month.
That was giving him credit for all of the insurance and dental.
Yes, and the union dues as
and the
well.
union dues. How much was the number again?
$955.74.
965 or 955?
55.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other summaries, Miss Overstreet?
No, Your Honor. I had been able to send that to Mr. Cole, and I believe that he agreed.
Miss Overstreet, Mr. Cost is on the witness stand. Do you have any questions for Mr. Cost?
Yes, I do. Mr. Cost, how long have you worked for the Houston Police Department?
I believe about a year and 7 months.
Okay. And has your salary been about the same the entire time you worked there?
No, ma'am. When I started the initial, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, the salary is $1,200. And then once you get off probation, then it goes up to $1,600. That's biweekly.
Okay. And during that time frame, would your union dues have been a little less? Are they based on your salary, or is it just the same?
I believe it's the same. So it's the same for the first 6 months out of the 9 that I said. It doesn't start. There are no union fees. And then after that, actually, I believe the first 4 months, because it's while you're in the academy. And then on month 5, the union fees start, and then on to 5 to 9, the union fees are the same.
Okay. Now, was your son on the insurance during that time, or is he on the insurance yet?
No, ma'am. So, he's not on the insurance yet. At the date of enrollment, when I tried to get the information to place him on the insurance, Jasmine would not respond, so I could place him onto the insurance.
Okay.
So I was told that we would be able to do that now.
Your Honor, I have nothing further of Mr. Cost. Pass the witness.
Your witness, Mr. Cole?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Cost, you heard Ms. Castaigne's testimony describing you as careless with your weapons. Was that an accurate depiction of your behavior around your son?
No, sir, not at all. All of my weapons are cared and managed in the way that I've been taught, in a way that is no hazard, no danger to a child. I will say that what she's discussing is the weapon was in a case, in a locked case against the wall. Jace was drawn to it in his walker. Once he was drawn to it, I moved the weapon to a secure location.
Okay, but it was in a locked setting.
Absolutely. No ammunition near it, in it, even in the house. The ammunition was kept in my vehicle.
Now, during the two different times, 2 occasions that you and Ms. Castaigne lived together, did you support your son? Did you support your son?
Yes, sir.
Did you pay the rent where he was residing?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you also you paid for Ms. Castaigne's car insurance?
Correct.
Maybe about 9 payments or so?
Yes, sir. There was payments of insurance. There was cash on hand that she was able to use and access at any time. If she needed it, if Jace needed things while I was at work as well.
About how much do you think you gave her in direct payments through Zelle or whatever other means you may have used?
Anywhere ranging between $800 to $1,200, somewhere in there.
In addition to the other things you mentioned?
Yes, sir, correct.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I did also, and there is text messages to back this, have asked on many occasions whether she needed additional money, whether it was diapers, whether it was whatever he needed, to just request those things from me.
And what was her response?
There was no response. And many times I had to fight just to get the address for her to send, so I could send Jace's clothing. I purchased him clothing and diapers at one point. I asked for maybe days before she would actually give me the address. She told me to use my cop means to find it, which is illegal. She told me to figure it out. And then finally she was able to give me the address, and I was able to send him that. That was the only instance where she actually responded to me. Other than that, she never asked.
Have you used your position as a police officer to intimidate Miss Castaigne?
No, sir. Not by any means. Every time that the second time that I came to the house that I brought the police with me was so she could feel safe. It was not a form of intimidation.
How many times did you request assistance from the police to see your son?
Only that one additional time. Based on her reaction and how upset she got, I didn't come back anymore. She denied me that time, and she made it very clear that she did not want me to come back. I would not be seeing him.
So in the last 3 months, how many times have you seen your son?
Once, for approximately 10 minutes.
In 3 months?
Yes, sir. I did. I wasn't able to hold him. I wasn't able to do anything. She stood there and she held him with the police there. And I was only able to rub his foot and try to talk to him.
Okay. Is there a particular reason why you haven't been able to see your son?
She wouldn't allow it. She would refuse. I offered to meet her. I offered to drive to her. I offered to bring police if she felt unsafe. Her mom asked me to leave my weapon at home because they felt that they were unsafe. I left my weapon in the car. I did as much as I could to just make it easy for them to allow me to see him, just be around.
Now, you're trained to always have your weapon on you, correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
You aren't using it to intimidate anybody, are you?
No, sir, not by any means. They weren't even aware that I had the weapon until the police officers came, and I told the police officers, hey, I have my weapon on me because I know how we operate, and that they could take it. One of the officers said that he didn't even need to take it. The other officer, I just suggested to him to go ahead and take it just so there's no miscommunication, and they took the weapon.
Now, during the time that you and Miss Castaigne lived together, did you change diapers?
Yes, sir.
Did you feed him?
Yes, sir.
Bathe him?
Yes, sir.
So if the court granted you overnight visitation, would you be able to care for your son?
Absolutely, sir.
By yourself?
Absolutely.
And you also have relatives in Houston, correct?
I do.
That could assist you?
Yes, I have my sister who has 3 kids of her own. Her husband, they have a nanny. Her husband's a surgeon. They live in the Woodlands. They've already expressed that they would come help me. I have my grandmother who helped raise me. I have my father who is retired, who would like nothing more than to spend time with his grandson.
So you have a safety net?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
As well as your own ability to take care of your son?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're also asking the court to, in addition to allow you overnight visitation with your son, that Miss Castaigne be ordered to meet you in Baytown. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that the halfway point?
That is the halfway point for us to at least just meet halfway. Once I get off work, I can drive there. She can drive there. It makes it easier on both of us.
Okay. And one final question: while you and Miss Castaigne lived together, did she ever leave you alone with Chase?
Yes, sir. There were many occasions where she left me alone with Jace to take care of him on my own.
Would she be gone for an extended period of time, or for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes or so?
An extended period of time. There were times where she would go out, she hung out with her friends, she's, which we agreed on so she could have a break, and she left me with him to take care of him, bathe him, feed him, put him to sleep.
Were there any incidents or any problems when you cared for him by yourself?
No, sir, none at all.
Okay. Pass this witness, Judge.
Your witness, Ms. Overstreet.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
The state rest.
Yes, Your Honor.
State's rested. Mr. Cole, do you have any rebuttal witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Well, needless to say, y'all, I got lots of questions. So let me see if I can get right to them. Miss Castaigne, I need to ask you, so during the time period that you and Mr. Cost lived together after Jace was born, y'all lived together as a couple, right?
We were engaged.
Okay. And there might have been issues with your own relationship, and that was caused the breakup at some point in time. But during that time period, y'all all lived together with Jace, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming that based on what normal average couples do when they live together, there were times when Mr. Cost was left alone with Chase. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Now, they may not have been for long periods of time, according to your prior testimony, but he was left alone with the child.
Yes.
So at some point in time, you felt safe enough with Mr. Cost being alone with Jace that you could leave Jace with Mr. Cost and you could go off and take care of whatever issues you needed to deal with, right?
Right.
All right. So let me ask you, Ms. Castine, during any of that time period that you and Mr. Cost were living together, was Jace ever left alone with Mr. Cost for, say, an entire day?
No.
Okay. And he was never left alone with Jace for an entire overnight?
No.
Okay. But there would be several hours on and off when Mr. Cost wasn't working that you needed to go run errands or spend time with your friends?
Yes.
Okay. And can I assume, Ms. Castine, that the relationship that took place between you and Mr. Cost, did that take place in Houston?
Yes.
Did y'all meet in Houston?
Yes.
Were you living in Houston at the time that you and Mr. Cost came together as a couple?
Yes.
All right. What brought you to Beaumont? Why are you, or in Jefferson County? Why are you living in Jefferson County now?
Because my parents live here. I'm
Okay.
living with the grandparents
And that's fine. And how long have your family lived in Jefferson County?
for years, since I was
Okay.
4.
Okay. But it would be fair to assume that the relationship that took place between you and Mr. Cost started and ended in Harris County.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there were some issues that happened last year where you and Mr. Cost split up, but then y'all reconciled and you lived together again with Mr. Cost up until the very early part of March of 2022. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
That's okay, ma'am. I do it too. I have to be careful. All right. So during that 3 months since March until now, has Mr. Cost had any contact with Jace?
No.
Okay.
Just that one time he came.
And the one time that he came with the police and he got to spend a few minutes with Jace.
Yeah.
Miss Castine, you're under oath. I need to ask you, did you do anything in the last 90 days to prohibit Mr. Cost from spending time with Jace?
I just asked my my attorney what I should do.
Your attorney? You have an attorney?
I spoke to the child support secretary through the system what I should do. I asked for help because he was being very.
Okay, that's not my question, Ms. Castine. Do you
Well,
have a lawyer?
I'm telling you. I'm just.
I know,
telling
but
you.
see, here's the thing. I just want you to answer my question, okay? I've got a pretty good idea of where this is going, but I'm just trying to get some specifics. But the fact that you mention a lawyer now throws a little wrench in this, and I need to make sure I'm on the right track. Do you have an attorney, Ms. Castine?
It was the attorney through the child support system. I thought that, yes.
They don't represent you, Ms. Castine.
I know.
Yeah, they only represent the state. So you haven't hired or paid an attorney.
No.
Okay. So are you trying to tell me, Ms. Castine, that someone from the AG's office told you that you should not allow Mr. Cost to spend time with his son?
They told me I didn't have to open the door because
Okay. All right.
Because of the manner he was coming in.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Castine, for your answers. Okay.
Okay.
A couple other things real quick. So you said that he did help you with the child, that he did pay you some money. During the time periods that he paid you this money, was that also at the same time that y'all were living together? Or was this times when y'all were not living together is when he sent you this money?
He sent money in April.
Okay.
And once in, I want to say it was either March. It was like $150.
So it was after y'all split up the last time?
Yeah, he just sent 2 payments. That was it.
That's fine. I'm just trying to narrow down when it was the stuff, because it was kind of general and I got confused as far as when that would go. All right. So Ms. Castine, you do understand that at some point in time during this hearing, I'm going to give Mr. Cost specific visitation rights. You understand?
Yes. I was waiting for an earlier court date to talk about the visitation
Right.
Because I had certain stipulations because he was being very aggressive and manipulative in
Okay.
that process. And, our court date got further along and now we're here and the
Right.
situation has gotten more intense.
Right. So, but you do understand that I'm going to give Mr. Costin visitation rights.
Yes.
Okay. And so,
I have no problem with him visiting. I just wanted to be protected by the court because of the way his
sure,
rash behavior.
I get it.
I
understand.
I don't trust, his actions. I don't know what he's going to do. He's a
Right.
police officer.
You just
And-
want to make sure, Ms. Castine, that it's something in writing so that you're both protected.
Yes.
Okay.
And I wanted him to wait, and he didn't want to wait.
Well, that's fine. If I was him, I wouldn't want to wait either. But I do understand your position. So, do you believe that Jace is ready to go overnight with Mr. Cost?
No,
Okay. And why is that?
because he's teething and he's very hard to handle right now. He hasn't been around him long enough. I feel like if he got used to him for a little bit before he can stay overnight, I just
Okay.
don't feel that comfortable yet.
Okay. Well, always remember, Ms. Costin, no matter what you think, it's not about your comfort.
Well, I'm thinking of Jace.
Okay. But you said it's about your comfort, and it's not about your comfort. It's about
Well,
Jace's comfort.
someone has to speak for Jace.
No, ma'am. That's where you're wrong. That's my job.
Okay.
The state of Texas pays me to make sure that I do things that what I think are in the best interest of the child. That's me. See, the
Okay.
problem that I have, ma'am, is that through this testimony, I'm not sure that I'm really getting to the bottom of what's going on here, but I'm going to do the best I can. Okay.
Okay. Well, I have videos and
Videos
text
of what?
him going on social media and threatening me with constables, and I have other information. It's just I just wanted to be here.
Ms. Castine, for whatever reason, you made the decision through some help from some other parties or just on your own that Mr. Cost was going to be denied his rights as a father. Okay.
I didn't.
I understand, but you did because you decided that you yourself were going to stop him or prohibit him from visiting with his son. And I understand why you did it because you didn't have a court order in place to protect you, but there's consequences to that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Cost, I have some questions for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you're telling me, because there is one thing that Ms. Castine brought up that I am concerned about. You're telling me that the weapon that you had in your house that got close to Jace was in a locked case.
Yes, sir.
All right. There weren't any bullets.
Correct.
The gun wasn't loaded.
Correct.
All right. Did it have a lock on it?
No, sir. It's buckles.
Okay. Did you have a trigger lock on it?
No, sir. There's no cartridge. There's no the magazine.
I don't care about that, Mr. Cost.
Okay. No, sir. There's no trigger lock on it.
You don't have any weapon. I don't care what it is. The most dangerous weapon in the world is an unloaded weapon. You know that.
Yes, sir. I agree with you. No, sir. No trigger lock.
Trigger locks.
Yes, sir.
In your home, when you
Okay.
have children present, trigger lock. They're required.
Okay.
You're not working at this time, Miss Castine?
I'm incapable. I've been taking care of my son.
Well,
I've been trying to find stay at home.
and that's okay. I mean, Miss
I can't
Castine,
afford childcare.
I got a feeling that no matter what happens today, you're not going to be real happy about what I'm going to do, but that's okay. But I try to advise people when they come in my court, when you make comments like I'm incapable, that's not true. I have hundreds of single mothers that appear before me every month that are working 3 and 4 jobs at a time, doing the best they can to support their kids.
I have no one to watch him. Like
Okay.
the mom is disabled and my dad's retired. It's just old and they can't watch him 24 hours.
Right. And
I'm also in school as
Right.
well.
see, that's
I'm doing the
better.
best I can right now on my own.
Right. That's better. Okay. Do you have a car? Do you have access to a vehicle?
I have a vehicle. I've actually went on a couple interviews. I'm trying to do my best.
Okay. just stay away from using words like incapable. You're going through a process where you're trying to get back on your feet. That's a better
Yeah,
word.
I am trying.
All right. Anything further, Ms. Overstreet?
No, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Cole?
No, Judge.
Ms. Castine, you're representing yourself in this case. Is there anything further you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
I guess, do you need to see proof of payment from Mr. Cost?
No, I think I'm okay on that.
Okay.
But that's a good question.
He also was communicating with my mom. Now, my mom is not, this is not my mom's business, right? I'm asking you, is this my mother's, does she have any say in this situation?
Well, I mean, it's pretty common, Ms. Castine, for parents to reach through grandparents for communication if there's a breakdown in communication between the separated parents. So it's not unheard of.
Okay.
I mean, if I was your mother and I didn't want Mr. Cost contacting me, as soon as she contacted me, I would send him something right back that said, please don't contact me anymore.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, there's nothing wrong with him attempting to try to make contact with you,
Well,
Ms. Castine, if he's not getting through to you.
He threatened my mom in the beginning, not like a physical threat, but threatened her with laws or whatever information. And
Objection, hearsay, Judge.
Okay, that's sustained. You can't tell me other stuff that your mom told you, Ms. Castine.
I have the text message.
Was it to you?
No, it was to her. And
Okay. Yeah, you can't give me information that other people shared with you. It has to be
Okay.
something that you yourself know about personally. But I understand.
Okay. It's just, when he doesn't get his way, he tends to threaten. He tends to be petty and boast and do those types of things. That's my concern. That is my concern.
The only real issue that I have in this case, y'all, is how we're gonna exchange the child. Because the rest of this is actually pretty straightforward. Despite what the parents have said and think, the issue in this case is not so much about whether or not Mr. Cost is a good dad. I think he is a good dad. The issue in this case is the fact that he hasn't had contact with the child for 3 months, and this child's not even a year old. And while that's not Mr. Cost's fault, it is something that I have to be concerned about for Jace. So I do believe that there's probably going to have to be some phased in visitation in this case. The fact that Mr. Cost doesn't have any other children, and the fact that he's never been alone overnight with Jace, there just needs to be some kind of reconciliation there. But my concern is that the relationship between Mr. Cost and Miss Castine occurred in Harris County. And the relationship took place there. The child was probably born there. They lived together there. And it wasn't until this case got before me because Miss Castine moved to Jefferson County. And I understand that this is where her base is, her family is here. But I'm not sure that I should have to force Mr. Cost to do all of the driving back and forth to see Jace if since the relationship and everything else took place in Harris County. Miss Castine, let me ask you, I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to do with the child support on this case. I can do one of two things. I can adjust the child support and make Mr. Cost do all the driving, or you guys can meet halfway. Which would you prefer me to do?
Meet halfway.
I think that's reasonable. Do you live in Beaumont, Miss Castine?
I live in Groves.
You live in the Groves. Okay. And what part of Houston do you live in, Mr. Cost?
In the Heights.
Okay. Well, when I think of the Heights, I think of the eastern portion of Harris County. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. It's a little more north than downtown. I mean, it's slightly north than downtown.
Right. Okay.
Judge, we had suggested Baytown.
No, that's too far.
That's too far.
Yeah, that's too far. I'm actually gonna do Anahuac. He lives in the Heights, Mr. Cole.
Okay.
Baytown's just outside the loop. That means mama's gonna be driving the majority of it. That's not gonna work for me. I mean, depending on the area of Baytown you're talking about, you could have been all the way out to the river for all I know. And then that's not that much further than where I'm going anyway.
Okay.
Because my initial thought was Winnie, but that's a little. Remember, Mr. Cole, Miss Castine lives in the Groves, and the Groves actually isn't in Beaumont. The Groves is actually further past Beaumont and south of Beaumont. So she's got another 10 minutes. She's got to come in just till she gets to Beaumont. But I think Anahuac is probably fair. All right. Court's going to find the court has jurisdiction. The court's going to find based on the testimony of the parties. I believe that it is in Jace's best interest to name the parties as joint managed conservators of the child with Miss Castine as the primary custodian. I'm going to grant Mr. Cost visitation at any and all times mutually agreed to by the parties. If no agreement, then Mr. Cost is going to have visitation as per the following. I'm going to have a short phased in visitation schedule. Miss Overstreet, there will be 0 supervised visits followed by 0 unsupervised visits for 4 hours. We will then have 4 unsupervised visits for the entire day on the 1st and 3rd and 5th Saturday of each month, starting at 8 a.m. and ending at 5 p.m. When those 4 visits are done, then Mr. Cost will have 4 visits of one night overnight from Saturday at 6 until Sunday at 6. And those will also be on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th Saturday of each month. When that last 4 visits is completed, then Mr. Cost will receive standard possession from that point forward. I'm going to order child support in this case based on the summary of Miss Overstreet. Child support will be $955 per month beginning July the 1st of 2022. I will order Mr. Cost to maintain the health insurance and the dental insurance on the child. Mr. Cole, I always advise, although I'm absolutely certain that you know that Mr. Cost is responsible for making sure that Ms. Castine gets a copy of the policy, both dental and medical, as well as all insurance cards so that she may make use of that insurance.
Yes.
All right. If I don't advise folks of that, Mr. Cole, sometimes they just forget. And I just want your client to understand that it is his responsibility to not only insure the child, but to get that information to the mother so she can make use of the insurance.
He's aware of that.
Good enough. Based on what Ms. Castine testified to, I will order that the parties will meet at what I think is pretty close to a halfway point. Mr. Cost will be responsible for the court costs for the filing of the suit, but I will give him until, let's say December 31st, 2021 to pay my 2022 to pay my court costs. Miss Overstreet, does that take care of all? Oh, no retroactive child support. Yeah, that's denied. No non-disclosure, that's denied. And there will be no domicile restriction. Mr. Cost does not live in this area, so the mother will not be restrained from where she's able to reside with the child. Does that take care of all the issues in this case, Miss Overstreet?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr.
Judge.
Cole, can I assume that you want to review and sign this as to form?
Yes, Judge. Now, Judge, could the court consider a geographic restriction to Harris and
No.
Jefferson County?
No, sir. But I thank you for the offer, but no geographic restriction.
Okay.
She's going to still be under the same restriction, Mr. Cole. If she wants to move, she has to notify Mr. Cost of that intent 30 days before she moves. And if he thinks that that distance is too far away, he always has the right to come back and file a motion in the court to try to block it.
Okay.
So I love geographic restrictions, but when we start getting into the entire southeastern portion of the state of Texas. I
Right.
think we're really just putting additional language in the order that's not needed.
Okay.
My last question, Mr. Cole, is, Mr. Cole, do you think that we're going to need a motion to enter hearing on this, or do you believe that you and Ms. Overstreet will make sure that the order is as to form?
Yeah, I'm confident we'll have, I don't think we need a motion there. I mean, an entry date.
That's fine. What'll happen, Mr. Cole, just so you know, is Ms. Overstreet obviously will send the order to you for review and sign. And then if y'all can't work out the terms to make sure that it matches what I said, then she'll set it for another hearing and we'll come back at that time, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, Ms. Castine, what's going to happen now is Ms. Overstreet with the AG's office is going to prepare an order. It needs to match what I just ordered here today. And then she's going to send that to Mr. Cole. He's an attorney and he has the right to review the order to make sure that it matches what I said. Okay. He's not arguing about what's in the order shouldn't be because he and his client don't agree with it. He's just supposed to look at it and say, yep, that's what the judge said, sign it and send it back to Ms. Overstreet. She's going to send it to me and then I'm going to sign it. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And
So,
would I get a copy?
oh, well, absolutely. But I wanted you to know that it's called the review and sign process, and that will delay you getting a copy. Okay.
Okay.
So because the attorneys are going to make sure that it says what I said, and then they'll sign it and get it to me. But y'all need to understand this order is going into effect July the 1st. I want this order back to me before the end of next week, Ms. Overstreet, one way or the other. If you can't get it to me, Ms. Overstreet, by the end of next week, then I want a hearing on this the first part of July. Okay, I know that's a quick turnaround, but I want this order in place as soon as July 1st as I can get it there. And that way Ms. Castine is protected. She knows what her obligations are in regards to this court order, and Mr. Cost knows what his obligations are. Okay.
I'll have it to it.
Yeah, I know, but I just don't want there to be any misunderstandings of what I'm doing because Mr. Cost's child support is going to start July 1st. And if you guys are meandering around about this child support order, he's going to get a month behind because it'll take you guys a month to get me the order. I don't want to see that happen. Okay. All right. So, Ms. Castine, are you aware of the location where I've ordered for you to meet Mr. Cost for the exchange?
I can look it up, but I'm not.
It's
fully aware.
actually really easy. As you're going to Houston on Interstate.
I think this judge has been incredibly fair. And Mom is a jealous Karen. I welcome you to agree or disagree in the comments.
And there's a big Shell station right on the right-hand side. And that's where you guys will exchange the child.
Okay.
There's a hotel right there too.
Yeah, there's a little hole in the wall hotel there, and I don't know what it is. But yes, it's an easy place to find Miss Castine. I'm going to say it wrong because it's spelled A-I-N, and I see it when I'm saying it. So, but anyway, that's the order of the court. Now listen, I want you all to understand. Mr. Cole knows what his rights are, but Miss Castine needs to know what her rights are. Miss Castine, you don't have to agree with what I ordered today. I'm not the final say so. If you disagree with what I said today, you have the right to appeal. If you wish to appeal, your appeal must be in writing, and it must be filed with the district clerk's office in Jefferson County in the next 3 business days. You must be specific in your appeal to tell the district court what part of my ruling you disagree with. And you're also responsible for making sure that a copy of your written appeal is sent to all the other non-appealing parties. Now, again, if you're okay with what I did, then fine. But I want you to know what your rights are. The problem is that in these Zoom contexts of these hearings, you don't know, Ms. Castine, when I'm actually going to sign the order. So your actual time for your appeal doesn't start until I sign the order. What I'm advising you of, and this is one thing I do in all these pro se cases like yours, is if you don't agree with what I said, don't wait to file your appeal. Get it in. And that way you're not missing your time. I don't know of any district judge in Jefferson County that's going to stop your appeal from being heard just because you didn't file it, because you filed it early. They'll stop you from having it if you file it late, but they won't stop you if you file it early. Okay.